Hello, I'm Gabriele Kärcher and I show you my way of traveling. Each country is my temporary home without prejudice, without expectations. This video series is my love declaration to the horse world. Come join me on my great trip into the horse world. Today I will tell you about the life and history of the Crow Indians who have become friends and family to me. The land is sacred to the Crow Indians. Myths and mysteries surround the Pryor Mountains, and for me it is the place of spiritual renewal. I find great freedom and peace at the Diamond Hanging 7 Ranch near the small town of Pryor in southern Montana. Getting away from rules and restrictions purifies mind and thoughts. Larry Fallsdown and his family give me a second home on their land and accept me like a family member. Larry runs the ranch with horses, cattle, and a guest operation, and combines cowboy and Indian culture. But let's first take a look at the history of the Crows. The Crow land is good land. Everything that is good can be found here. The Great Spirit put it in exactly the right place. These are words of Crow chief Arapoish from 200 years ago. At the time, the tribal land is 10 times larger than the reservation today, but there are still wide open prairies between mountains, forests, clear rivers and lakes. And with lots of wildlife, such as deer, antelope, buffalo, bears, mountain lions, wolves, and coyotes. According to their own mythology, the Crows call themselves Absaroke, which means children of the bird with a large beak. The whites translated this as crows. The Crow Indians quickly recognize the supremacy of the whites. Instead of fighting against them, they cooperate. They trade in horses, hides, tobacco, and weapons. And they serve as scouts for the cavalry. For some tribes, they are therefore considered as traitors. The Crows have their own perspective. These other tribes have always been their enemies, against whom they had to defend their good land again and again. With their cooperation, they hope for and they receive support from the whites against their enemies. This way they avoid a lot of suffering and they can remain on their traditional land while other Indian peoples are resettled. The land and the graves of their ancestors are of great spiritual importance to the Indians. For them, displacement does not only mean a change of location, but also a violation of their identity. Tribal rituals, such as dances and chants, are forbidden to all Indians, including the Crows. The whites fear the spiritual power and intend to turn the Indians into farmers. The last Crow chief, Pleniku, says, "Education is our most powerful weapon. With education, we are equal to the white man. Without education, we are his victims." He performs the change from nomadic life to agriculture and livestock breeding. He moves from the teepee into a log house with a vegetable garden designed by himself. This place can be visited at Pleniku State Park in Pryor. The Crow Fair is created to increase the appeal of farming, an agriculture fair where the crows are supposed to display their products. As a sign of goodwill, certain tribal ceremonies as a side program are approved. The crows are first-class horse riders. They actually become cowboys, ranchers, and farmers. They are smart and take advantage of the relaxations. Little by little, they are turning the Crow Fair into a tribal festival with powwows, horse races, and parades. Today, the Crow Fair is called the tipi capital of the world. Up to 1,000 Indian tents are set up. Tribes from all over Canada and the USA come together every August. Modern Indians prefer RVs. Fierce tribal wars have given way to competitions, friendly conversations, and ritual dances. In the daily parade, the Indians ride through the tipi village, separated into men and women, and present themselves in their traditional costumes, war bonnets, and plume attire. Today's horsepower is just as decorated and admired as the old days horse. The equipment is judged by a jury, and Lydia, Larry's niece, is a master in beadwork. Lydia, on the right in the picture, has already won many prizes. It takes years for her to create equipments like these two. The value goes into tens of thousands. Courage, power, and skills have remained high values of the Indians today. The big rodeo offers a good chance to prove this. The Indians show their skills in cowboy disciplines such as handling the lariat, but also in the sell of severely bucking rodeo horses. Riding wild horses is considered as a struggle between equals. At dusk, the drums call for the great powwow. The Indian dances are spiritual ceremonies. There are dances for men and for women, and even for children. Every dance has its meaning and its rules. The fancy dancers, who celebrate life and their culture with colorful costumes in an ecstatic dance, express joy and vitality. The Crow Fair is an unforgettable experience for visitors, especially because the festival is not a tourist event but living culture. So are the Crow Native Days in June, around the anniversary of the famous Battle of Little Bighorn. This is reenacted annually on the original location at the Little Bighorn River. June 25th, 1876. This will be the last victorious battle of the Indians. The defeat of the U.S. cavalry under General Custer is devastating. For military honors, the ambitious general wants to defeat the Indians just with his 7th Cavalry. Despite warnings from his Crow scouts, he leads his soldiers to perdition. They are vastly outnumbered by the alliance of Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho under the leadership of the famous chief Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. Custer's army has no chance. Not a single soldier survives the fight. Fortunately, this is different today. Indians and soldiers are alive and happy, and available for selfies after the battle. The Native Days also include the Ultimate Warrior Challenge, a competition for young Indians in traditional disciplines like running, canoeing, and horse riding. In the Indian relay race, participants have to complete a race course over a mile on 3 different horses, one after the other. Bareback, of course. They ride first-class thoroughbreds, but they can only win if they succeed in a quick horse change. The style of changing horses is up to them. Crow Fair and Native Days are practiced tribal traditions. The Crows care about preserving their language and their culture. This also includes horse breeding and riding. Ichili is the name for the horse in the Crow language. In huge pastures, they can live according to their nature, free and proud, happy and healthy, but also with tough times and challenges. Larry's motto, A horse is a horse. He never took classes. He relies on the intuitive communication between him and the horse. He doesn't ask, he doesn't doubt. He knows how to give a horse security and how to win his confidence. And that's more than half the battle in horse training. Even the smallest kids learn how to handle the horse as well as how to throw the lariat. The young learn from the old. Children and family are the Indians' greatest asset. The elders are highly respected. Larry's ranch primarily conveys the cowboy way of life, with the right amount of crow culture. Often, he or his brothers tell stories of the old days, about Indian myths and legends such as the Little People, a mystical tribe of short Indians who watch over people, animal, and nature. However, they never tell when requested. Asking or begging does not help. They start telling stories when they feel like it, when the moment is right. Encounters arise. Sometimes cows have to be moved to a new pasture. You might be invited to the ritual Indian sweat lodge. Sometimes an Indian birthday is celebrated. Real life is better than any tourist program. Anyone who is able to forget about a planned schedule and opens up to the unknown will find true experience. One of my most intense experiences was my own little vision quest. It was my birthday, and Larry recommended a vision quest to me based on an Indian tradition. The vision quest includes being by yourself in the wilderness, without food and water. For young Indians, it is part of growing up and inspiring their destiny. They often last for several days without eating and drinking. I ride Spotty to the mountains. I plan to abstain from eating and drinking for 24 hours. Larry recommended that I take cigarettes with me to appease the little people. I placed them in a bush in some distance from my campsite. The magic of the place takes me into total presence. Thoughts become silent, and so fear cannot arise. Even though there are bears and mountain lions up there, I am calm. I lead the horse to the creek, sing a song to make myself noticeable to bears and to avoid scaring them. In the glow of the full moon, I make a fire, roll out my sleeping bag, and enjoy being on my own. I sleep like a baby until sunrise. Indian drums in the distance wake me up. I get up, untie Spotty from the tree, and lead him to graze. I sit down on a rock and look east. The sunrise is accompanied by the drums of the Sundance, a ceremony that happens to take place that very morning at a nearby camp. I feel how my mind clears, how the soul breathes. Indigenous people say, everything is connected with everything, and my desire arises to connect with the world and ancient cultures. This becomes the vision of my world travels.